The Social Distance Sportscast coming to you from the WDRB worldwide headquarters here in the WDRB sports office. I'm rolling solo tonight, but plenty to discuss. We had a couple of heavy hitters host these online press conferences today. We talked to Scott Satterfield. We talked to John Calipari. So some big news coming out of those press conferences, but we want to start with the Olympics, which are officially postponed. So the 2020 Tokyo Games will now be the 2021 Tokyo Games, but I think they're keeping their name as the 2020 Games, even though they're going to happen in 2021, which will then be followed by the 2022 Games in Beijing, which will also keep their names. But John Lewis caught up with a swimmer, a local swimmer, who has big Olympic aspirations and now finally has an answer as to when those games might happen.
Well, the postponement of the Summer Olympics meant something different for two Louisville swimmers who just happened to be siblings. St. X grad Clayton Forde and Sacred Heart product Brooke Forde, they were both set to head to the Olympic trials with a shot at Tokyo. But now the postponement means Brooke, who is a junior at Stanford, will have to wait a year. Clayton, a senior at Georgia, has decided just to call it a career.
Don't really want to swim a whole nother year just for Olympic trials on my own, so this will be it. I'm going to go to graduate school at Georgia and look into some different forms of exercise.
I feel really, really bad for him and all the other seniors. You know, a lot of people's careers were ended on not the right note this season, and it's definitely really hard, and I feel lucky that I am not ending my swimming career on this note, and it's definitely, you know, going to be a hard transition for him.
Both Fordes say their off seasons changed quite a bit because they can't even swim right now. Lakeside, where they trained, is closed because of the coronavirus shutdown. They both said now they're kind of landlocked, so they're going to have to try some other activities in their downtime. I've got more on their story up right now on WDRB.com. I'm John Lewis, WDRB Sports.
All right, thank you, John. Told you Scott Satterfield spoke today, and a lot came out of that. We talked to him about his spring practice, which actually started in the wintertime, which was a good thing because U of L was able to get 7 of their 15 allotted spring practices in before all of this cancellation. So they got a little bit more done than most schools probably did. But there are going to be some adjustments that have to come, and probably will have to come in the summertime once Scott Satterfield gets his team back on campus. He said that they're going to have to add some sort of practice time back to make up for the time lost and try to get these guys back in shape, which will also help for guys not getting injured right away once they do return to campus. And he also mentioned that some recruiting time will have to be built back into the summer because they've missed out on some time due to all the cancellations, everything being shut down, traveling being limited. So both practice time and recruiting is something that he's going to have to pick up on once, hopefully, students get back to campus in the summer. And I say hopefully because there's been all kinds of chatter about whether or not the NFL and the college football season will have to delay at all due to the coronavirus. But Scott Satterfield does not want to think about that. He says he's being positive. He's planning for that September 3rd kickoff against NC State, which also happens to be Derby week. So it would be a Thursday night football game. And, of course, the Oaks and the Derby then on Saturday could be a pretty special week.
What better place to be in Louisville, Kentucky that week? I think it's going to be a tremendous week for us. I think, particularly with us kicking off an ACC game right off the start, NC State, and for that week, and then with the Derby. I mean, I just think it'll be, very exciting, one that'll be very anticipated. And hopefully all the people that are coming for the Derby, they'll swing in by Cardinal Stadium that evening and watch us play before going over to the Derby that weekend.
Eric Crawford with more on Scott Satterfield's press conference today, right now on WDRB.com.
Hi, everybody. Rick Bozich, WDRB Sports. Come here, Ruby, come. Oh, what a good girl. She'll do anything for a treat. How about that? Ruby the Wonder Dog was the star of the Digital Sportscast yesterday. Aaron Mavis isn't going to be as happy with me today, though, because we not only have Ruby, we have my old Comiskey Park chair. Taken from old Comiskey Park, which was torn down after the 1990 season before the White Sox moved to their new facility. Plenty to talk about here today at WDRB. John Calipari held a 45-minute teleconference to talk about UK basketball. 3 things I want to talk about. One is the December 6th game with Michigan, which was scheduled to be played in London. Might be, but it's too soon to tell. It's in flux. Cal said the decision would be made in June, and if the game is not played in London, it would be moved back to the U.S. and played at a domestic location. Number 2 is he expected 4 or 5 of his players to declare for the NBA draft, but whether or not they'd stay in the draft or when the workouts are, the NBA Combine, all up in the air. He's been trying to get answers, but mainly he's just gotten questions. And 3, a hat tip, a White Sox hat tip, to Coach Calipari and his wife Ellen. They have partnered with Kroger and Fayette County schools to buy groceries for 400 fans in the Lexington area for the next 4 weeks. So hat tip to Coach Cal for doing that. In other sports news, Tom Allen also did a press conference to introduce Aaron Wellman, his new football strength and conditioning coach. And the obvious question is, how do you condition football players who aren't on campus? You do it by video, and that's what they're trying to do up in Indiana. They had a team meeting, a virtual team meeting the other night. Very strange times as we move forward. But the people in Las Vegas try to give us a little bit of normalcy moving forward. They've already come up with a point spread for the Kentucky-Louisville game, which will be played November 28th at Cardinal Stadium. The Wildcats open as a 1.5 point favorite over the Cardinals, so we can fuss about that moving forward. Again, Rick Bozich, WDRB Sports. Stay safe, wash your hands, and watch Ruby attack that elk antler. Get your dog an elk antler. Keeps them happy. All right, we'll talk to you again on Wednesday.
The baseball season is still very much up in the air. Will there be a condensed season for the major leagues and for the Bats? Will there be a season at all? I talked to Bats Vice President Greg Galliette, who was very close to learning who might be on his team when everything changed. You said you were in Arizona. Is that Goodyear?
Goodyear, Arizona.
Yeah.
We had just gotten off the flight that morning, drove over, checked into the hotel, went down to the complex, the Reds complex. We're getting ready to go into the complex and meet up with some of the Reds minor league officials, and our trainer, Steve Gober, sends me a text as I'm out in the parking lot locking my car that spring training had basically been stopped. I'm going, you got to be kidding. I just got here.
Galliette also said some planned work on the stadium will continue once they get the okay. At Louisville Slugger Field, Tom Lane, WDRB Sports.
And that will do it for this edition of Social Distance Sports. Tomorrow, we get to talk to Dana Evans, the U of L star junior, the reigning ACC Player of the Year. She'll be the favorite to win that award next year. We'll get to hear from her on kind of this crazy abrupt end to her season. Remember, the Cards, they would have hosted some NCAA tournament games at the Yum Center. But then, of course, that didn't happen because everything got shut down. So it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say, or maybe what she thinks this team could have accomplished had they gotten to play in the NCAA tournament. That's tomorrow. We're looking forward to hearing from Dana. And with that, we're one day closer to sports returning.